Hey everybody, it's Marty the JavaScript Party and my buddy Rhett. I forgot to get her a nut again. She sat through my Freedom is Not Free, where I kind of shared my thoughts about how the US works and what it's like here and things to kind of keep in mind if you do come here. Um, I have noticed that I did talk about my analytics a little bit and how basically the vast majority or the largest majority of people by far are not in the US. Um, I have seen a shift in my analytics though, and now about 15% of the people that come to that watch my videos are female, which that would used to be just a dead zero. So probably doing something right now that the girls are watching. I think girls are a little bit more discriminating when it comes to like stupidity. So like if no girls are watching you, you're probably doing something kind of stupid. But, I mean, how do we know? You gotta try stuff. But anyways, so now I'm working on this and basically um as we are sort of adding features, um the foundation of the system is starting to provide situations that never occurred before. And so then the code the code doesn't know how to accommodate it. Um, and then I also had like two, and I didn't realize it at the time. And this happens all the time, and this is very, very destructive to a software development team. But I had two sort of foundational requirements that were in absolute conflict with each other. And one of them was that you could resize, and that when you resized, it would um, it would redraw everything uh, based on the space available. And then if you, but if you're working on something and you happen to just change the size of the screen for whatever reason, um, like something like the way I have this set up right now, I have all my code on my left and the size on my right. But what if I was doing something and like I go, oh, okay, let me make this bigger now, but I'm actually working on something. I probably don't want it reflowing at that point. Um, so I kind of came up with the idea of adding this checkbox here for reflow, or you could uncheck it to um, turn reflow on or off. And for now, since I'm working on reflow, I'm having it checked on, but I think I'll have it checked off. So two sort of concepts kind of came out of that. One is that um, I had reflow working exactly the way I wanted it, and will I ever be able to get back there? Well, like in memory is not always reliable. So, like, would I even remember what it was like? I do have old videos I could go look at or whatever, but I also have my Cypress end-to-end test that actually tests that it works the way I want it to work. And so that is such a relief because once I think I have it where I want it, I can go do my end-to-end test and see if it still passes. So that's a good thing. And So, and then the other thing was, I guess this is where I kind of came up with that realization that you can have absolutely diametrically opposed requirements that are in absolute battle with each other and not even realize it. And I have definitely experienced that in many, many, many times. And the thing is like, it was just like, man, everything just went to crap, and I don't understand. I don't understand why we're at each other's throats. I don't know why we all hate each other now and all that. And it's like, oh crap, we had requirements that were an absolute. Like I was trying to build something out, and they were trying to build something out, and we had requirements where we were just constantly breaking each other because our requirements, like if when I build out my requirements, it breaks their requirements, and then when they go and fix their requirements, it breaks my requirements. And so now one thing that was really nice was that actually setting up a whole state in a menu and everything went really quick. Um, so it was like sort of a detour that just happened really, really fast. Yeah, you're a buddy. You're a buddy. Boy, she bit the heck out of our German Shepherd yesterday. She likes to throw her nuts and stuff out of her cage, and then there are some nuts that the dogs enjoy. And uh, Gretchen, our German Shepherd, who has humongous ears, was sitting there digging around, and she was down there at the bottom, and she bit her good. Um, and I don't know that Gretchen even knew what happened. All she just felt some pain and just ran off. Just yelped and ran away. So I think she probably. I know that she's been bit by wasps before, so that was that. But so I have these abstractions, right? So I add these things, right, and all that. And I have certain ideas, and and I have these abstractions that say uh, to understand to try to understand things. So at this point, that is broken, and I have reflow on, right? But when you start getting into like different layers of abstraction, the way we are right now, um, you can really get to the point where like you believe something and it's completely wrong. And so it's really important as you get more deeper and deeper into abstractions that you get that you constantly retest reality. Like there's a movie called A Beautiful Mind where like I think he's a paranoid schizophrenic or maybe just a schizophrenic, um, but he apparently his brain would create entire human beings and he would think he was talking to somebody and that person didn't exist. And so like at the end of the movie they showed him where he would um, like sort of had a list of people he knew actually existed, and then um, and then when someone would come talk to him, he would say to one of the people that he knew really existed, "Do you see him?" That is, I have to do that all the time because I get beliefs that are just wrong, and and if one of those incorrect beliefs gets too deeply rooted into my belief system, the unrooting of that can be extraordinarily painful. So, I definitely want to. But see, sometimes digging in and proving your beliefs can be extraordinarily time consuming. So it's a sort of a balance. So I believe, I'm not sure, but I believe that this whole thing works perfectly for me if everything is reset. So it'll just redraw wherever it belongs if there's nothing, if there's no information. So the next available top will be the correct available top for the very first thing if all of these are set to nothing. And all of this being set to nothing will have no effect on performance because he, earlier we completely separated the drawing from the updating of memory. Um, so we're very free to change any of the data we want. But I don't want to get completely committed to the concept that when I reset everything, um, all the visualizations, that it will work perfectly. Um, I just think that, but I can't be 100% sure. But it makes sense to me. And, um, but I think it is like reasonable to say that if there was nothing, if all of them, if all the manual placements are unset, so this, then it'll go in here, and then all of these will calculate all the right stuff if everything is set to zero. Um, it might actually, I guess now that I think about it, if everything is set to zero, it um, may shift them all one. Um, I don't know. I also think there was, if I remember correctly, there was another bug, or what are we on? Yeah, we're on reflow on. I think if you delete this first one and then you go back to here, that's right. But I think if you add another one, now I think we fixed that. Actually, that seems perfect. Everybody, it added one to the end, which is exactly what we'd want. Um, but but it's not redrawing when we do this. So I think that's all we need to do. And I believe that a side effect of me clearing everything is that this will work perfectly. And I don't generally like coding in side effects, but you know, I think this is one of those points where it might be the easiest and most reasonable thing to do. So I do have a visualizations list. So I'm going to say if reflow is always, then we're going to iterate over all of them, which is weird because we iterate over all of them again right after this. So basically, we're going to iterate over all of them to um, so that they work properly over here, so that this code. But so, and one of the downsides to this is that this code will be like it's being used and expected to do something differently depending on the context around it, which that is dangerous because that's how you end up with a bunch of code that ends up having tons of unintended consequences. Because it's just like, oh, this code, it in some cases it's actually placing everything properly, but in other cases it's actually resetting everything, you know. Um, and honestly, though, it wouldn't surprise me because the code, though, as we have it, if this works, let's say this works. If this works, then the problem is that this is not going to be unit testable at all. We're going to end up having to re-architect this for unit test purposes. And I guess that is one of the, like, I don't know if you've ever been injured before, but like sometimes you'll injure your knee, and then while your knee is healing, you'll maybe change the way you walk a little bit, and then you'll injure your ankle at the same time while your knee, and now your knee is healed up because you've been accommodating it, but now your ankle is injured. So then you go, now you're walking weird because your ankle is injured, and next thing you know, your hip is injured. It sort of works its way through your body, and eventually, if you're if you're lucky, everything will eventually just heal from top to bottom, and you'll be fine. That's kind of, I think, the situation we're right now. We've made a major change to the way things work. So when we added delete, we made a major change to the way things work, but so now we've made changes to make those things, and every time we make those changes, it's just dislocating things, and we're trying to heal everything basically. And the unit tests will help with that, which is something that I had never really thought of before. But again, I'm hoping, I have my fingers crossed, that if I go through all these visualizations and reset them, and I don't even know what resetting means. Right? We don't even have a definition for resetting. I think we have a general idea of what reset means, but what it actually means, we don't know. Okay, so reflow is on, so we'll just leave that. I do like how, like, if you click reflow, it closes, but if you click this, it stays open. I think that's really cool. So as you see, we want to reset this viz. So what we're going to want to do is, it's kind of interesting because I guess this was at the time. Yeah, see, SD left. up here it's showing it as 0 because that was what it was when it printed. But at this time right now that it's 200. So we want everything to be 0. Now what I'm wondering about is if everything is 0, um, or maybe we want everything to be -1. And by everything I just mean left and top. Um, and then leave everything else alone. Oh, and manual placement should be set to false. So let's try that. Now, this is one of the weirdest things in JavaScript, and if and I'm just gonna say it. It may not make sense, or it's either gonna make absolute perfect sense to you, and you'll be like, I don't understand. That's obvious. I don't know why you're saying that. Or it's gonna be absolute gibberish to you, and you're just gonna have to spend some time really trying to understand the way memory works in JavaScript. But I right now am changing this visualization. And since it's an object, not a primitive, I'm changing a reference to it. But if it was, let's say this array held a bunch of primitives, I would actually be changing the value itself. But since it's an object, I'm just changing the value of the the thing that it's pointing at. So I don't know. I hope that, I mean, like I said, if that didn't make sense to you, I strongly suggest um, just talking to ChatGPT and trying to understand um, reference, pass by value, those sorts of concepts. Um, and it took me forever to understand it. And I don't know exactly how to. It's like I don't know exactly how to teach someone how to. Um, I don't know how to teach you to solve a Rubik's cube. I can solve a Rubik's cube. I cannot teach it, and I don't know how to teach that concept. I've tried and tried and tried. It's something that I know that I have dealt with, like there have been junior developers that I sort of helped sort of curry them through junior and into the middling and then into senior. Um, and there's always like, I'll say that to them over and over again. And they're like, yeah, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. And then suddenly one day it just clicks for them. And everything I said to them all comes into place. And they're like, oh my God. And then they just level up as a developer. And that is just one of those things where like understanding how memory works in JavaScript is hard. It's very, very hard. It's very, very weird. It's very, very unnatural. And it's the kind of thing that when you do understand it, it's very, very difficult to understand why it's not obvious. It is just a very, very strange thing. Viz dot manual placement is equal to false. And I will say that most places that I've probably worked in 20, 25 different organizations. Most places that I've ever worked at, um, they, uh, I was able to fix bugs that they had for years and that's usually one of the problems that they have is that they have something they're like, I don't understand. Whenever we go through these sets of events, and you go back to this page, it's all broken. And I don't know why going to this page breaks that page. It was like that. It was because they were sharing references. Okay, so that is not what we want, right? So we are on Reflow, and that's what I thought. I was thinking that, oh man, the very first time through, it's going to think something's sitting at 0. So let's try -1. And it would be nice if I had a more robust set of end-to-end tests, but I have situations that never existed before, so I couldn't write end-to-end tests for those situations. But when we add edit, we're likely to go through a situation just like this again. Okay, so -1 worked. Now, what I am curious about is, okay, and that's working. Now, this is like the situation where I think when I was a lot more junior than I am right now, this is when I would put my blinders on. I would just put blinders on. I'd be like, I don't see anything. It's working. Ship it, and let QA figure it out if something's broken. That huge mistake. Oh my god, huge, especially in this current time period. There was a time period where it was like they would actually want that. There was a time where they would want you to get as close as you can, as quickly as you can, and push it through, because there was a lot of benefit to the next layers, getting opportunities to test it and work with it. So they'd rather you push fast, fail fast, and come back, and they'd rather have that iteration. But today does not seem to be that way. It seems to be like you need to. They'd like you to get it exactly right, or as close as possible, because you probably can't get it exactly right, and the reason is because they don't know what right is, until they see it. That's just the reality. Let's just be honest. I wonder what she'll do if I put some water on her. You like that? I just splashed a little bit of water on her. She does. I like to spray her every day with the spray there. She didn't used to like it at first, but it's really good for her skin and her feathers to get, like, she lives inside, so she doesn't get rained on. But like she would get rained on. But anyways, yeah. So this seems to be working. Let's turn reflow off and see what happens. Okay, yeah, that seems to be working perfectly right now. So I feel like it's unlikely that everything's working perfectly. But I also feel like this would be a great time to, like, get, like, it seems like all the pieces are in place. So, but they're in the wrong places. They're in the right. I'm definitely gonna put you out in the cage for my next video. Um, but and I got to give her a nut. I never even gave her a nut today. So but all the pieces are in place. So it seems like this is the time to get the unit tests all squared away and to work on end-to-end testing, um, and then give it another sort of um, whirl and see if we can break things and all that. But I think we are. I feel like there's like a 75% chance that everything is working now. I think we could spend some time. We might find a bug or something if we search around for one, but I do think that I think all the, like I said, all the pieces exist. We have all the pieces on the board now. Now it's just time to organize them properly, and figure out how in the world we're gonna unit test this monstrosity. See, we don't even use row or next available next. So, and this can definitely be its own little function. Reset all viz. That's easy one. And then, yeah, who knows? This all seems pretty clean. So anyway, so tomorrow I'll clean up, get rid of all these console logs, and start the unit test process. And then once we get our 100% unit test coverage, we'll go back and start, and we'll do end-to-end testing. And then if if things during those two processes, if bugs don't present, at all, which they probably will present. If there are bugs, they will probably present during the unit test, the process of doing unit testing and stuff. Um, but if they do present, if they don't present at all, then we'll do a real thorough um, testing. But end-to-end testing should cover all the thoroughness. I know that there's like it makes 16 of them and da 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 da, and we'll probably want to make 16 and not. Um, but it's coming along. Happy coding, everybody. Bye.